Hello everyone, my name is Priam Fernandez and I am the Security Strategy and Engineering Lead on VMware's Information Security team. I want to share with you today why our security controls and solutions must take into account accessibility, how integrating accessibility and security makes good business sense, and how accessible security is intrinsically more secure. It is important that we start by looking at what accessibility and security have in common. At its core, both security and accessibility have to do with the human factor of interacting with technology. A colleague of mine once said, "Isn't it interesting that almost all security incidents have to do with a human and is often caused by human error?" To this, my response was that we as security professionals must take it upon ourselves to make secure solutions that account for these human factors and errors. It is our job to develop security controls that prevent people from making errors. We need to be proactively solving for human factor failure points to protect our people and our organizations. So what could go wrong if security controls ignore human factors, making them hard to use, unusable, or in other words, inaccessible? Users will naturally gravitate to the easy solution. When something is tedious or cumbersome, our natural tendency is to find an easy solution. With cybersecurity, these shortcuts could lead to insecure practices that can put the user and the organization at risk. In some cases, insecure user practices could also lead to data breaches or data disclosure. Consider this. What if your employees can't keep track of passwords or need help solving a CAPTCHA or injures their dominant hand and can't enter the authentication code within the time frame? In many cases, your employee may have to rely on another person's help to perform very basic security operations like entering passwords, OTP codes, or completing a password reset. This invariably leads to loss of privacy and increases the risk of identity theft and impersonation. Another important thing to consider is failing to be compliant with the many regulations being put forth by the various countries as well as the international communities. For example, the new WCAG accessibility guidelines prevent organizations from using cognitive tests for authentication and instead use alternative methods to authenticate. I want to highlight one key security control that impacts all users, but especially those with disabilities, and that is authentication. As we consider how to make the authentication process more accessible, I'd like you to consider the following. Offering various methods of authentication accommodates diverse user needs. Considering using the right biometrics to balance convenience with accessibility considerations. For example, not everyone has readable fingerprints. Designing interfaces compatible with screen readers and keyboard navigation. Providing clear and helpful error messages for all users. Accessible recovery processes that do not rely only on CAPTCHAs. And lastly, educating users on accessible authentication options. I would like to leave you with a small demo of how VMware is working to make its authentication process smoother for every user without compromising on security. In this demo, you will see my colleague Joyce trying to access an internal service. Joyce is an accessibility trainer and educator. She is also blind. And to give you an insight into her experience, you will also hear the screen reader on her devices. So please bear with us. What you will see is Joyce trying to access an internal tool, but she needs to authenticate with two-factor authentication using a token delivered to her registered device, in this case, her phone.
Website. Launch Verify RSA Setup. Remove Tripism from favorites button. Main region. List. Launch Verify RSA Setup app button. Enter. Secure ID application portal dash Google Chrome. Secure ID application portal dash memory usage dash 45.5 MB dash Google Chrome. Secure ID application portal. Link. Enter Secure ID OTP password edit as pop-up.
Pull down to check for authentication. VMware. View token code. Ajoyce at VMware.com. Progress. 0%. View token code. Ajoyce at Face ID authenticated. Authenticate. Pull down to check for authentication. VMware. 0569202. Screen recognition. Off. Speaking rate. 7 characters. 0. 5. 6. 9. Space. 2. 0. 2. 0. Comma. 0.
Star.
5.
Star.
6.
Star.
9.
Star. 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 Submit button. Enter Secure ID application portal document. Secure ID application portal dash Google Chrome. Where.off.secure.com/eoff/weboff/complete off attempt equals app 197cc-c72.
As you notice, this process took more than a minute. But for Joyce, being blind, it is also very cumbersome, and in some cases, stressful. The next part shows how we provide an option for users to tap an Approve button on their registered device instead of using a one-time token.
Website. Launch verify RSA setup. Remove Trypism from favorites button. Main region list. Launch verify RSA setup app button. Enter. Link.
3:57
One
p.m.
link. Link.
3:57 p.m. Authenticate. Now. Authenticate. Notification. Button.
Authenticate. Pull down to screen curtain off. Tab bar. Selected. Tab. 1 of 3. Check sign in request. Login.vmware.com. 9/27/20. VMware. Ajoyce at VMware.com. Approved deny button. Button. Possibly. Close. Approve button. Button. Possibly. Check mark. Approve button. Dim. Possibly. Pull down to check for authentication.
Dim. Possibly. Pull down to check for authentication.
VMware dash delivering a digital foundation for businesses dash Google Chrome. VMware dash delivering a digital foundation for businesses dash Google Chrome.
As we see, the process was much smoother than the earlier process. It is imperative to us as security professionals that security is not seen as a hindrance to productivity. In fact, security professionals are to be known as agents of enablement while enhancing security technology. As we think about securing our systems, accessible security makes it more secure and supports a diverse workforce. Thank you.